got 78 people here waiting.
Sending data.
How long has that been going for? That means
it
that's
just
only what
started.
It does. Okay, it should go live like right now. What is up, YouTube? I think it should be live.
There it goes. Now YouTube is live. Okay. It took a minute. Now it's live. So now, welcome YouTube. There it goes. So, hello. Now we're on. All right. So anyways, welcome everybody. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. So there you go. There's YouTube. Now we're good. Now we're in. All right. So anyways, yep, made it. So anyways, was looking crazy, a little bit crazy. We'll see. It's still early. We do this on the lunch hour, pretty much exclusively at, if you guys don't know me, I really hate trading Mondays. The Mondays just kind of like little funkylicious every now and then. Amazon though, just that one did follow through just a little bit. I think we got nearly 210, so a little bit follow through on the downside. Luckily, the Microsoft was giving up a lot of it on Friday. That one shot straight back up. I think I haven't seen Meta. Yeah, Meta almost 800 today. So there's a little follow through. So the good got a little bit back. Google I saw this morning was, almost back to 2. Ooh, look at Google candle. Right back to the high. So, it's not all for naught. Amazon, they didn't like it. They didn't like Amazon. That's all I can say. They like Meta. They like Microsoft. Amazon, what's funny? We were talking about this last, as we were coming into the Amazon report. It just felt a little sussy. Right, with Jeff selling everything that he was selling ahead of the report. And then I'll just say, dude, okay, so Microsoft beats, Google beats, Microsoft beats, Meta beats. It's very rare statistically that they all beat. So I was like, well, unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, it was maybe in the cards, maybe not. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, institutions buying dips. I'm not sure.
Can I correct you there quickly? We live in an East Coast universe. It is good afternoon.
It? I guess so.
It is 12:40 p.m. Eastern. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
All good. But let's get into this. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick. My question, I'm looking at this. We're heading into August. Well, it is technically August, and we're heading into September. I think this is everybody's question. Are we overheated? Have we gone too far, too fast? Is it buy the dip time for crypto or stocks in general, or do we really just sell? Who knows, right? What do we do? So every Monday, if you're new to the channel, what we do here is we kind of take a look at what happened last week and what do we have to look forward to this week. What I will say before we really get into this is that August is not the easiest month to trade. It can kind of go either way. I'm really kind of feeling like almost like best case scenario is that we chop a little bit, to be honest. I don't know that we're going to fall off a cliff by any means. September is universally rough. But here's what went on last week. We did get our FOMC meeting. We did get our NFP, and we had a huge amount of macro data. And we had a very heavy week of earnings. We had the biggest week of Mag 7 earnings for sure. So all of that's pretty much out of the way. This week, actually, we have a busier week of earnings. Believe it or not, we had about 1,000 companies in total reporting earnings. This week, we actually have do you have the total number of earnings reporting this week, Evan?
No, I can look for you, though. By the way, you should type in the chat, refresh the live stream. There's a couple people still on the old link. It did something, but type that.
Fresh live stream.
Nice. Or at least look for the new link. I think this is the most number of names.
Yeah, I got to count. It was 1,700 names, dude. I was like, what? So 1,700 total companies reporting earnings this week. This is intense. Luckily, though, we don't have a lot of economic data this week, pretty much like at all. So it's mostly just earnings. I think best case scenario, we'd kind of go sideways, to be fair. But anyways, this is what happened. So it was a ton of data last week. We saw from the FOMC perspective, first double dissent. If you guys don't know what dissent is, so like two Fed governors not agreeing with the consensus, two governors not agreeing with the consensus in 32 years, and that was Bowman and Waller, both wanting to cut and everybody else wanting to hold steady. So Bowman and Waller wanted to cut rates, everybody else wanting to hold steady. First time in 32 years that's happened. GDP, we got our first reading, our Q2 read for GDP. That came in at 3% against a consensus. So in parentheses are the consensus view of what was when I say consensus, and if you're reading these like economic data points, consensus is what's priced into the market that day. So when you're looking at, as we go into earnings season, number one, if you're looking at like who beats versus like if you're looking at earnings or economic data, it really doesn't matter if somebody does like a double beat, right? Meaning like they beat on revenue and they beat on forecast. That doesn't matter. And if data comes in really good, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what comes in versus what was forecasted or what the consensus was. In terms of earnings, they call it like the street consensus. And so the difference between what is and what's reported versus what was forecasted or the consensus, that's what moves the market. And so when we look at these reports and we look at things like consensus or forecasts or what the street expectations are, those things, the consensus, expectations, forecasts, that's what is priced into the stocks and the market today, right now. And so if something comes in that's different from consensus, well, then prices have to be reevaluated. Things have to be repriced. And that is why you'll see moves in the market. Anything else is not going to change. It's not going to move a market. So again, if you're looking at these data points, the only thing that will actually move a market is if something comes in significantly different than consensus. So GDP comes in at 3% versus 2.5% consensus. Again, versus a negative 0.5% prior. Yes, it's a huge difference compared to the prior, but again, compared to the consensus, not a massive difference. Price index, GDP price index, 2% versus 2.8 against the 3.8% prior. These are all the GDP numbers. The biggest thing, Powell, this is from his speech. I don't know, Evan, if you got any other takeaways, really. But, Powell says, okay, the economy as a whole is in a solid position. Remember, when you're listening to Powell's remarks from an FOMC perspective, like his speeches, the Fed has two main charters. So it's to promote full employment and to keep prices stable. Those are the two things that the Fed's in charge of. If the Fed starts talking about like economy in a solid position, that's a little wonky to me because like that's not in their purview. Like that has nothing to do with what the Fed's in charge of. So I don't know why he's talking about this, but that's what his remarks were. Economy in a solid position and slowdown in consumer spending. So the consumer spending, that does have to do with keeping prices stable. Economy in solid position. Okay, well, if the economy is really hot, well, then consumer spending might ramp up and that would then change inflation or spending. 2 months of inflation and employment data. So he needs at least, so what he's saying, he needed at least 2 months of inflation and employment data before the September meeting. So in order to make a decision. So right now it's like still data dependent. And he sees still more downside risk in the labor front, in the employment, risk in employment. So that's, again, still that labor issue. Trump wrote, I guess, 17 drug company CEOs after executive actions in pharma. He's going after healthcare. So healthcare is still kind of like not doing that great. Just not sentiment in general. Healthcare has just been it's been rough right now. So probably not the best area still from a sentiment perspective to invest in. PC price index comes in exactly as expected versus a 0.2% prior year over year, pretty much as consensus. No change there. I got a whole nother slide of recaps, and this is about non-farm payrolls and the revisions. And I think this was the biggest takeaway after PC and the FOMC. This was the non-farm payroll data and the BLS stuff. So there's a whole nother, after we got through FOMC, we had a whole nother, excuse my French, shit show around this BLS data. And NFP comes in 110K consensus. We come in exactly at 73,000 versus at the time 147K prior. But everything in red here is what these revisions came down to. So we were the prior month was stated at 147K, but that was revised down to 14,000. So the month prior was listed at 147K, revised down to 14,000. It's a massive revision. Private payrolls not revised down. Manufacturing payrolls estimate consensus 1K, we come in at negative 11 versus a 7K prior. That negative 7K prior was revised down to negative 15K prior. Get this, government payrolls consensus at 5K positive. We come in negative 10K versus a 73,000 prior, which was revised down to 11K. So we revised down to 11K prior. So somewhere along these lines, I don't know what, we go from 147,000 the month before, revised down to 14,000. That's a massive revision. In general, NFP revisions go down negative 125 from May, and then we revised down also down 133,000 for June. Net, weakest pace of hiring for any 3-month period since the pandemic after these most recent revisions. And then we get all the shenanigans and fireworks. Trump fires Biden's BLS commissioner, Dr. Erica how do you say this? McCarfer? I don't even know how to say this last name. But these were the headlines on Friday. Evan, do you have any takeaways from this? This was just wild, seeing all this shenanigans go down on Friday.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it definitely was wild. I listen, the way you go about things matters, but I don't think it's great that we're just revising all these numbers in a crazy way and we're told just, hey, accept it. Like, explanations could be needed. Everyone talks about how bad these numbers are too and how we can update them. So maybe it's not the approach. I don't think the action, like the change needed, is crazy. Maybe the way he goes about it. I think it's a nothing burger though. The NFP numbers themselves though, that's not good. That gives Jerome Powell more credence to cut. I wonder if he knew this going into it, if that would have changed anything.
It was funny though, because like this is almost immediately after Trump goes and visits Powell at his construction site, right? Like Trump goes, visits Powell at the construction site to give him a hard time and about lowering rates, right? And I'm just looking at this course of events. And then the headline is, because you think that Trump's going to go and he's going to fire Powell. And then he doesn't. And then you get this headline about, okay, Powell is not going to be resigning. And then we get these non-farm. Do you see what I'm saying? Like Powell basically pleads his case most likely, and he's probably talking to Trump about all these revisions that are happening and how he has to see the data. Because like, I hear what you're saying, Trump, but look at this, and there's some weird shit going on under the covers, by the way. And then Trump probably looks at it, and then he sees these non-farm payroll revisions after Powell probably pointed it out to him. So I think maybe Powell said something to him and brought this to light. And then Trump was like, oh, shit, you're fired. I don't know. I'm just saying it's kind of a coincidence that like immediately after, boom, 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 now this is gone. But this is not a new thing. This has been going on for, I'd say, like the better part of, I
don't know if it's happened over the last couple months though. Maybe is why this like happened here. Is like he saw it.
This has happened for years though.
A lot. But maybe it happens like once every couple months they do revisions.
I mean,
I wonder how often they do these revisions though, is my question.
Well, I remember it specifically. So I remember in 2000, I mean, 22, I want to say 22, like, that, because the definition of a recession is like 2 negative GDP quarters, 2 negative prints of GDP. And it was like, maybe not NFP specifically, but all of the data in general, it's like, it's there, but then like, it looks like it's there, but it never really gets there. And then it shows up in the revisions. They're like, oh, well, actually, we revise it later. And like after the revisions, it's like, oh, yeah, it was actually there like a year ago. We just didn't know it. But now after the revisions and we've corrected all the data, we did have negative GDP for XYZ, 6 months prior. And we were in a recession, but now we're coming out of it, by the way. And this is not really that different. Like ADP, people have stopped using ADP years ago because it was such a disconnect from NFP. But I'd say at least 2 years, this NFP data these revisions have been pretty massive. Anyways, oil sinks on demand fears. And then Fed Governor Kugler resigns. So this is all shenanigans. I think oil's kind of coming down again today. Evan, you had another headline today. Apple was looking good this morning. What was the headline you were talking about on Apple this morning?
Yeah, President Trump put out a post around India. The exact thing was India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, they are then, for much of the oil purchase, selling it to the open market for profits. They don't care about how much people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine. Because of this, I will be substantially raising the tariffs paid by India to the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And the reason this impacts Apple more than maybe some of the other names is they've been moving a lot of their production out of China. And one of the countries they've been going to was India. If you look at the iPhone shipments to the U.S., smartphone shipments, this is not just the iPhone, smartphone shipments to the U.S., last quarter, 44% came from NVIDIA, 25% China. Same quarter in the year prior, it was 61% from China, 13% from India. So part of that is from all this tariff stuff. There was reports of Apple bringing plane loads of smartphones over. So I'm sure they weren't the only one, and I'm sure there was a couple stuff happening there. But quite the number for iPhone or smartphone shipped to the U.S. Last quarter, 44% were from India. Same quarter year prior, 13% were.
Gotcha. So Apple was looking good this morning, then hit with the headlines. We'll see. I'll just say, this market's been kind of a whipsaw of a headline market. I think this is from a seasonal perspective. I've just been checking this chart kind of weekly. This is kind of where we are. This is August, the whole month of August. Do we continue higher? I don't know. Seasonality's been a bit wonky this year. I'm going to skip through that slide because I think this month is kind of a crapshoot, to be fair. We shall see. As far as earnings go, again, another big week ahead of us. There's not a lot of data from an economic perspective, but so far, this is where we are from a Dow 30 component perspective. So we got 20 of the Dow 30 that have reported so far. Dow Chemical, and UNH are the only two that have missed. Actually, everybody else has beat so far. So 18 beats, 2 misses only. On my calendar, this is all we got. I mean, pretty much a nothing burger. Evan, do you want to do a quick screen share? And then we can go through yours. I do have yours, but
yeah, you want the honest truth though on the earnings is the only thing that matters, right? I could show my earnings hub.
Very much the only thing that matters. I can do it too, but probably easier if you.
Yeah, cool. Let us get up here. What would you like to look at on here? Is
I mean, this is my screenshot of Earning Hub. It's not so. Just really, we can walk through it. You know what? I can just grab them. Well, AMD is going to be pretty much the whole deal, right? So AMD is pretty much everybody's go-to. So we got Palantir today after the close. That's the big one. Some people are probably going to be on HIMS. I'm not so sure how much HIMS is going to do, like how much movement HIMS is going to do, because it's got...
HIMS has been so strong coming into these numbers.
Yeah, but...
Sorry if I cut you off there.
Yeah, so like HIMS is going to be wild. I don't know. HIMS is kind of more... It's way up there. They have some other legal stuff too, so like I don't know. I have no idea. Navitas has kind of become a little bit of a cult stock for sure. So that one, a lot of people are probably interested in. Axon is one of those crazy stocks that if you don't know about, is like very much up and to the right. I haven't looked at it in forever, but I don't know. Is it still? Yeah, it is
still definitely is a popular one.
It's an under the radar popular one. I mean, if you don't know Axon, I don't know. Like Axon, this is the Axon weekly chart. Okay, so these body cameras, though, pretty positive it's body cameras. So I'm like, I mean, how big of a market cap? Is it body cameras? Yeah.
It is body cameras. I know they've created like a software system too that is, or you can look into it, or someone else can. That's try to help with paperwork a lot. Is when people were talking about it, and I know that's been talked about a lot over the last year or so. But the core business is those body cams.
Oop, you didn't see that. Cat. I mean, Lemonade is Ship 4, old school. I guess old school.
Lemonade, there is a cult audience for Lemonade on here for sure.
Only because it's made a lot of people a lot of money recently, but it's definitely a show me story still. I'm in Arista. I got some lottos on Rivian. A lot of people like Supermicro. Astera Labs. Listen, Astera Labs and Arista. These ones can be crazy to me. Astera Labs is very expensive. I will say that. I mean, look, AMD, oh my God, Astera Labs is all the way back, dude. This thing.
I sold some of my A-Lab.
I mean, how could you not? I don't blame you. This made all, this is just so crazy. All the way back to the highs, man. All the way. $50 to 100, like all the way back. This is just like NVIDIA or AMD. Both of these two. Literally, from the last report, 111%. Look, both of them. Also AMD. From the last report, I mean, 80%. Technically, Astera Labs has outperformed AMD, believe it or not. AMD, look, DeepSeek, new revenue. I get it. $5 billion China sales added on. Both of them double from the lows. They're coming in hot, so they could go either way. This earnings season, I'll say this. Normally, I run this earnings trading system, right? And usually I take it easy at the beginning of earnings season because I kind of want to get a feel for what the moves look like. Out of the gate, I'm like, all right, this season, big moves, man. I'll just say big moves. This is not, so my typical trades are usually like straight across calendars, like straight, like for mostly muted moves, not this season. So this season, it's been, I'll say we use like double calendars, which is I've been using double calendars the last couple times, just because I need to cover a lot wider range because the stocks have been making much larger moves, and it pays. But like, I think I have to continue to roll with that. So like AMD, I think it could go either way, but you need to cover your bases.
We talked about that gap a lot. What was it, like 174 or something? Maybe it was 164. I don't remember exactly, but it filled it up, and it got up to like 179. Surprise.
Yeah. Well, AMD I had from 100 and whatever it was to 170. That was my target. I get it. Some macro has changed for sure. Macro has changed a little bit for AMD. That's definitely true. So can it continue higher? Yeah, it absolutely can. Can it come down a bit? Yeah, I think the downside would be like maybe 150s, maybe 145s, maybe. But even if that happens, like would the broader story be broken? No, I don't think it would. So like if I was looking for a dip buy on AMD, it might be around that 145, maybe 135. That would be about half back, worst case scenario. But yeah, I don't think that the story actually changes on AMD. So even if it did get hit on earnings, I'm pretty sure it would get bought back up anyways. That's what's true on AMD for me. SMCI, look, upside has been hit. $60 was my upside target. I think we're there. Rivian, look, they're actually closer to profitability now than they've ever been. So, but the stock has not reflected that. I think you take a flyer. I think it's de-risked for the most part. Lucid, I think, is going bankrupt. Sorry. Snapchat's too up in the sky. Zeta is the new cult stock for sure. Did you?
I bought some. I bought a little bit of Zeta. Yeah, down on it. Cost basis for me is 16.20. I get that it's digital marketing. I kind of do this. I get it. When times are good, times are going to be good. You're worried for when that pulls back.
Yeah.
And marketing.
So I mean, I don't know that we're pulling back and spend. I mean, based on the new BLS
gains. What I'm saying, as someone from the marketing side of it, I don't know if I'm doing the exact side of it. Business is booming. So I think they had a fantastic last quarter and probably will next quarter. People are worried, but they're spending more to like, front load tariffs or whatever. Zeta, baby. Zeta squad. No, I bought a little bit. 16.20. I'm down so far.
It's fun. It's funny. Like you look at the BLS data and they're like, oh, well, this is if the BLS data is correct, these revisions do say, hey, look, this has been the slowest hiring period since the pandemic, slowest 3 months of hiring since the pandemic. Is that true? But Zeta is AI marketing. So it's like if AI is actually improving efficiency, well, look, doesn't mean that if we are becoming more efficient, we are maybe actually not hiring as many people. So they can both be true stories at the same time. Oscar, there you go. Second cult stock in second new cult stock of the year. So Zeta new cult stock number 1, Oscar new cult stock number 2 for 2020. What year is it? 2025. There you go. 2 new 2025 cult stocks. Oscar in the healthcare space. Again, healthcare not the favored social sentiment area, but Zeta supposedly AI enterprise marketing. But Oscar is the first. It came before Zeta. So, but those are the 2 cult stocks for 2025. If you're taking your lottos, who knows? Those are your 10 baggers in 10 years picks for
Wednesday morning. Though I'm excited. Uber, Shopify, Disney.
Shopify. Look, Shopify is going to tell you. TTD has been back. It's been coming back. It's been choppy. It's been a little crazy. Wix is an oldie, by the way. Like Wix, nobody trades this thing, but Wix is what you really build, what you initially build on if you're doing like home business or like starting up your website. You probably start on Wix and maybe move on to Shopify or something else. But yeah, Novavax is penny stock in reality. I still don't think that they've actually released a. I still don't think they've released anything to like the public. Airbnb, who knows? some more, what is IonQ? Like the quantum stocks, realty income still not there. Duolingo, DoorDash. Do you DoorDash out there? I think you do.
I Uber Eats, but we do have DoorDash here. Yeah, my friend actually just started working for them too. One thing I do want to say, I took a small test in a news trade this morning on LYFT. They had a headline, and I know you've been talking about LYFT on kind of where the valuation is at. They had a headline this morning, them and Baidu partnering to roll out some EV stuff in Europe. I don't think you need much for this. Yeah.
Is that why they were up?
Yeah. That was the headline this morning, and to me, I thought that was a compelling one to get a little bit of a move. So, I was kind of curious if we maybe like when we dig in and look at the charts, I want to get your thoughts there. But
so LYFT had
give them a reason to speculate.
So LYFT had the squeeziest setup that it's had since like inception. And then it got hit with the downgrade, and the downgrade like took it completely deflated the squeeze. And I mean like completely deflated the squeeze. So it would be really hard for it to get the Momo back. It would have to get back over like 16. It would have to get back over 16. But if it could, then it would be back on. And maybe that happens during earnings. So I guess you could take a shot. If there's some kind of headlines, it's probably at the lows. But yeah, over 16 LYFT does have a very heavy squeeze setup, but they got hit with that downgrade. It kind of just crushed the technicals. Honest company, I don't know. Paycom, interesting. Some funky stuff. Celsius has been on the mend for sure. I guess that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, some quantum stuff. Datadog's been up and down since their inclusion. There's your Warner Brothers. Yeti.
Why my Warner Brothers?
I saw you talking about it. Didn't you take a position?
No. Oh, I was trading that for a little bit. Yeah, off of the split. No, fair enough. That was my Warner Brothers. Not anymore, though.
Oh, you gone. Rocket Lab. So you got some space companies. Maybe Redwire is a precursor to Rocket Lab. Who knows? But you got some space companies. TTD. I just don't know what XYZ is going to say. Twilio, still a good company. Atlassian, not many people trade this, but I'm pretty sure they're going to beat heavy. Twilio.
Another name that's a little off there, actually, MP Materials also reports.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if MP is going to move a whole lot because that's mostly deal stuff. Other stuff that people might Colty-ish, Elf Beauty, Tempest AI. I thought this thing was bankrupt.
Can I also make a quick comment before we continue?
Yeah.
I just want to say, you guys, if you're watching this and you haven't liked the stream already, give the stream a like. And if wherever you're watching this, you're not subscribed already, subscribe. If you're watching on X, go below, comment below, like Paper's thing, like, hey, appreciate you or whatever, do all that stuff. But yeah, give the stream a like wherever you're watching from. We appreciate you.
Give him a like. C limited underrated. I mean, it's a tough one, man, for sure.
People love that e-commerce play. People love the Melly as well coming up after the close.
Oh, Melly's just staple for sure. Peach Mango Celsius. I don't think I've had that one. I don't know. I switched to this only because I'm Costco, but like this Liquid Death stuff, they sell it at Costco now. And I had to just nix the energy drinks, dude. It was just like too much, honestly. I definitely had to do that. But it's going to be a crazy week for sure. And there's not a lot to go on other than earnings. So maybe, just maybe, we can use a little extra help. So let's check in with our good friend, Miss Cleo, and see if she can help with the T in TA. All right, guys. So this is it. Here we are once again to your favorite segment of the show. And this is the tarot reading for the week. The way this works, if you don't know, this is for comedic relief, fun and games, but sometimes she's oddly accurate. So this is what is this? So so last week was a little rough, and I think she kind of got that. She got that one pretty. She got that one right.
My first thought to looking at this is to war and plunder riches, more coins every single time we are getting rich, bullish. That is what I see from this, but maybe it's just my bias. I'm excited to hear.
Wow, I feel like that's pretty biased, dude. Not gonna lie. Let me see what last week's was. Last week's. Oh yeah, I'm looking at if I pull up last week's was pretty bad, dude. Not gonna lie. So last week's it was like this death card. So she does nail it from time to time. You got to give her that. Yeah. Last week's was like, that was the theme card of the week. So like crushed it. Crushed it last week. Yeah. And then you build the tower, you fall off. You go, basically, you climb a tower, go to battle, fall off. This basically looks like you literally died, and you go meet your maker. So, anyways, the Hierophant looks like Carp, Patrick. Oh, man. Yeah. I'm out of the market Tuesday. So, yeah, knows. So, I mean, if that was last week, this week looks like maybe we're escaping the underworld or something, and we're leaving the battle. I don't know, but we're definitely leaving the battle. Hopefully, it looks like maybe I don't know. So this is like judgment. This is the Hierophant. I don't know what you could say. All I know is that this is the theme card, and we're being ushered away. And I don't know who's being ushered away, but we're clearly being ushered away. We're cold, we're wet, we got our blankets on, and hopefully we're running away to safety.
Can you zoom in a little further? What's that next to us on the thing? Is that a child?
I'm just saying, this is the theme card. We're fleeing the scene, dude. We are fleeing the scene. There's nothing to see. We're literally fleeing the scene.
With the weapons of our enemies. You know, we have won. We have conquered.
All right. We're fleeing the scene, possibly with the weapons of our enemies. Today is the Hierophant. Hierophant? I don't know. I forgot what this is, but that's who this is. Yan thinks that's Carp. Carp show today. Palantirians are going to be in full force. I wish everyone the best. Hopefully it's like Hoodie, where you know it's a very mature company and there was nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and you guys thought that was our headache? Those are the weapons we stole. This is our enemy's headache. Boom.
So this card we know. So this is not a good card. It's really not a good card. It's one of the worst cards that we can pull. This is the 9 of Swords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 swords. We do tend to wake up in a pool of blood. Maybe. So Miss Cleo is straight up saying, swing some puts overnight today. It's what she's saying. Do you? Or something like that. But the good news here is that you are waking up from a nightmare. I remember this. And that you usually test some kind of support. This is a test of some kind of support. You wake up in a pool of blood. So maybe like some kind of gapped out. But you're waking up. Man, it's ugly. It's a bloody mess. It's a bloody mess. That is for sure. That's that card. And then after this card, I do see a lot of gold themes. So maybe there's a little hidden message in here that says that we should maybe be long gold come Tuesday. I don't hate this. I don't hate this logic, Evan. I don't hate this logic at all. So maybe today we get a little long.
Well, the problem is
gold.
Long gold does not also mean long stocks. So
no, it doesn't. I'm just looking at our reading here. So if I'm reading the rest of this, hold on. So we're fleeing the scene. We've gone to see the Hierophant. We're waking up in a bloody mess on Tuesday. We go to the Queen of Pentacles. She has a coin. And then this is Thursday. Somebody's begging. Somebody is begging. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of Pentacles. Either we've become beggars or we are receiving gifts. Either we are begging or we are receiving some kind of charity. I think this is your charity. Maybe you're a beggar, something like that. Maybe you're receiving some kind of charity in the form of a itty bitty little bounce, possibly. But this guy looks cool. It's very yellow. Does anybody think this looks like a Palantir logo? Does this look like a Palantir logo to anybody? I'm just saying. Hidden messaging of some sort. I don't know. I'm just saying. But this is 9 of Pentacles. There's a bird. The bird seems to be blinded by a mask. He's not flying away.
That means it's like a messenger hawk or something.
A messenger hawk, yeah. All right, anyways, so there you have it, boys and girls. Let's see what Miss Cleo has to say. All right, so the theme card is, if I squint hard enough, yeah. Well, I have a big 4K monitor in front of me, that's all. Theme card is the 6 of Swords. Here, wait. I really thought that looked like that. So, like, can I just, like, is it? Do you squint hard enough, maybe?
No, I see what you're saying.
Is it? Like, you got to squish it together? No?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
Anyways. All right. 6. So, theme card. 6 of Swords. I'm not really sure. I'm like looking forward to reading this. Okay. Okay, here we go. We drew the 8 of Swords last week. All right, I'm not crazy. Not crazy. We drew the 8 of Swords last week, which felt bulls feeling trapped at the top due to Friday's big fade. Now we're moving backwards to the 6, which could send us in the other direction. Okay. This card does imply that we're cutting our losses and moving on. It likely means we don't recover last week. There you go. It likely means that we do not recover last week's losses and attempt to get used to our new lower range. Dun, dun, dun. Historically, this card brings continuation and lots of back and forth throughout the week. This could be bad news for the bulls once more. Well, you know, I got to give it to Miss Cleo. She's not really fussing around with the theme card. It's pretty straightforward. She didn't give a whole lot of wishy-washy. She's usually pretty wishy-washy. That's pretty straightforward. She got a couple usuallys in there.
That card does not fit my confirmation bias, so clearly she's wrong this week. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
You know, I've been known to fade Miss Cleo from time to time, so, you know, do you. This is all for, you know, for funsies. But, okay, so today, Monday, the Hierophant. We had this card last Monday and it played out as expected. So I'll just quote it here. This card brings structure and keeps the hijinks to a minimum. Look for a day somewhere in between negative chop and a bullish trend. There you go. Chop is the most likely outcome, especially with the theme card warning us of discomfort. I would not chase momentum. So not continue upside. Tuesday, 9 of Swords. See, it is a nightmare card. We're having nightmares and cannot sleep. Typically, this brings some overnight selling. See, that leads to a gap open. However, the nightmares prove to be harmless, and the session usually closes near flat, meaning gap and stop. So sell a gap up and buy a gap down. I've never seen the 9 of Swords gap up. But she's saying it's possible that it gaps up. Okay. So if you're a bear, it could be a nightmare. So she is saying it could be a nightmare for the bears. She's putting it out there. She is putting it out there. Wednesday, Queen of Pentacles. The best case for this card is usually a light upside chop. This makes sense since she's the protector of coin and rarely allows a bearish event under her watch. It's important to note, though, that the only time she has trended has been to the downside. Whoa. The best case is light upside chop. Makes sense since she's a protector of coin and rarely allows a bearish event under her watch. Okay, Miss Cleo has lost me on this. The only time she has trended has been to the downside. Yeah, that, Miss Cleo, you lost me. Anyways, 6 of Pentacles. Is this the charity one? We're in a position to give. Oh, yeah, see? Give or receive charity. This usually happens in one of, so we're not beggars. I thought that we were, okay. We're either the givers of charity or the receivers of charity. We're not, see, she reads, I read it as beggars. she says we're givers or receivers of charity. Usually happens in one of 2 ways. We gap up or rally early only to fade in the afternoon. We struggle most of the session only to find our footing and regain some ground by the close. So we're playing mean reversion somewhere around the mid-session. All right, so what happens there? I don't know. We have to look at the earnings calendar. Friday, 9 of Pentacles. We go 6 to 9. And to a card that often implies continuation. Trade this like a moderate trend day and play momentum with the likely direction being the same as we saw on Thursday. So Thursday continued to Friday. All right. All right, so the recap. Chop seems to be the theme of the week. Yeah, I would agree. But we do have some end-of-week trend and mean reversion. So be ready. All right, I can deal with that. If you can deal with that, let's take a look-see. AMD towards the highs. Schmapple getting a little smackaroo. What I will say is, here's my first look. If you've put, look at this. Too funny. If you dropped your tickers, how about it? We started a little bit late. So hopefully we got in there. I'm probably going to be pretty quick on what I am looking at. So SPY, I'm going to start here at the main indices. So it's the day after non-farm payroll day. So if you guys know me, it's very crystal clear. This is the box right here. This gray box that I just drew. I'm going to try and see if I can make this fade just a little bit more. I do use after hour sessions. I'm going to change these to a 30-minute calendar or 30 minutes candlestick. 628 spot 20. That is our line in the sand right now. Today, it's just today, we opened below that level and we're closing currently above. We do have a little session gap. I think this is from FOMC that we literally just filled right now, and we are not extending. That is to the actual penny. Unfortunately, we're not closing. We're not over it. Like we just stopped right there. From here, you can, so I wouldn't actually press this in this moment. From here, I would say that you can expect a pullback like this. And as long as you hold that 628 spot 20, which happens to line up exactly with the 20-day simple moving average, which is this white line right here, that's good. If you don't, there are two lines. So you have this giant gray box, which happens to be Friday's range, and you have a smaller box, which is going to be right here. That is another NFP range, which is July right here. This is a 5-point range. We were stuck in that 5-point range from July NFP for about 2 weeks. That box is going to overlay right in the middle, just like this. And so if you do happen to breach that 628 spot 20, there are two ranges here. So one, you lose this, you go to 626. If you lose 626, you do go all the way down to 621 where you have another overnight gap. If you lose that, you go here. Here are your ranges, just like that. Each one of these are tradable for the week. Each one of these very likely will be a overnight or within a single session move, possibly faster than that, including the reverse. So when Miss Cleo says chop, I will just tell you this is how these NFP levels work. These levels are going to be good forever. They never go away. It's not easy to trade through, but each one of them will bounce just like this, and you can see a full set like this session. Once, twice. Here you got two of these. 1, 2 in a single session. So you can get multiples. And as long as we don't close above 630 spot 54, I would expect that kind of a pullback. And I mean, the pullback could be this, it could just be that. 628 spot 20 is what you would ideally want to hold. And then you could have this again in the morning, but it's not until you get fully over that you can start going to the next levels, which I will give you here. An average weeks range to the upside would put you all the way up to 641, which happens just to be the exact all-time highs from here. And then an average weeks range to the downside would actually take you to that lower NFP at 609, which also happens to line up with the 50-day SMA and about that next downside session gap that's resting about 613. So all of that is available. The biggest level that you don't want to see breach really is that 628, because once you lose that 628 spot 20, all of this becomes in play like very quickly. And each one of these can breach just as easily as this was filled this morning within seconds. Very much seconds. How fast was that this morning? Not even a minute, like 13 minutes. This range was filled within 13 minutes. That's how fast these can fill. So you just got to be really careful because these will fill equally fast. Oh, I'm sorry. You got a little bit more. This goes to 631. So you got a little bit more. This could go to 631 spot 01. 631 spot 01. That's where your inefficiency finished. So you get a couple more bucks today. 631 spot 01. QQQ, very similar. No real session gap because there's some trade, but you're pretty much right there. The levels here, 560, spot 70. Again, 10 minutes it took to fill. You do have downside gaps, but 560, spot 70, that's the level this morning. That's also lining up to the 20-day simple moving average. And the downside is, actually the Qs were a little bit stronger on Friday. The downside 551 here is going to match up. Unlike SPY, so here's July's non-farm payroll box. If I go back to a 30, see this on QQQ. If I bring this all the way over, it actually never breached Friday. On SPY, it did just slightly, but here's the box. It just barely did. So Qs were slightly stronger, but it's 561. It's essentially the 20-day simple moving averages right now. Diamonds, straightforward 438.96. That's your level. You got a lot of ground to make up on DIA. That's going all the way up to 445. So this one's a little bit cleaner from a bounce perspective. 438.98. You already came off the 50-day simple. This was a bit of a bigger drawdown on diamonds. So maybe a little bit more bounce potential over there. Why do I have Costco here? Put Bitcoin here. We'll put Bitty there. And then similar with IWM. IWM doesn't really respect NFP as clean, but they all work, generally speaking. This guy, you actually drew down all the way down to the 20 and 50-day SMAs. These are a little bit more clustered together. But this one, you got a lot more upside on IWM, but you have to hold 216. 216, let me just take these off for just a minute. But here's your 20-day, your 200-day and your 50-day kind of lining up here around 216 from a just clean order block perspective. I'll just take this to a weekly. A little bit better of a retest right here on IWM. So it's possible, but you just really don't want to see IWM come down anymore. The one that came down quite a bit, this was the dollar. So the dollar was coming off heavy lows, and this guy, this is the Dixie. We were talking about watching here, coming up into resistance. This guy, boom, huge push all the way down here. So definitely got smacked right at the highs. So I think this one for sure probably stays range bound for, the foreseeable future right here. So I think this area very likely acts as resistance. And I think you're probably clear. So why also just generally like maybe the gold area, the gold trades. I don't think that dollar is going to be able to go higher for a while. With rates or bonds actually continuing to slowly grind higher here, bonds got smacked just barely this morning. Barely, but back over Friday's highs, at least chopping towards the upside. Not much of a movement here, but still slow grind higher. They still have 88 to get through. That's the 200-day. But I think you could probably sell puts here. Some kind of directional calendar or condors. Sell puts and calls, probably, honestly. BTC, which they're all looking at, right off the 50, 112. Is it by the dip season on crypto? No. I mean, that was like months and months ago. At 60, maybe. Well, you're talking to somebody who's like had it forever, so I don't know. There's nothing that's like discounted to me. We'll see. You very much have to get over this hump. Like, you now have heavy resistance overhead. Heavy resistance overhead. Like 118.
I do wonder if some of this stuff going on in like the Bitcoin treasuries and the institutional space, which has definitely picked up over the last couple months.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing these crypto treasury companies and think this has to go wrong somewhere, somehow, at some point. I don't know how, but it feels like something that can get sillier.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'd say 118 is that point of control for like that massive consolidation on BTC. This was, massive, like 28 days consolidation. We'll see. You got to get through that. Otherwise, that's just clear resistance. You get here, that's what you expect. Is very basic technicals. I would expect this. There's nothing complicated about this. So no, you just got to be. The only way this becomes a long is like if you breach, and you otherwise just be very cautious. This setup is like exactly what Miss Cleo is talking about. You think it's all good, and you get smacked right when you get back to that resistance. But that's just resistance. I mean, that's just. I don't know if it's going lower, but it's not going to go higher like out of the gate. Just not how that works. Normally. But we'll see. We shall see. It'll at least spend a couple days or a little bit of time stutter stepping here, and then they'll see. All right, are they going to step back in, buy some more, and then you'll have another trade right when it stalls. It'll stall. It'll stall right here. And then it'll be TBD. Yeah, VIX was at 22 Friday, which probably is a little high. We're back down to 17 and a half, 18. We'll see. We shall see. Amazon, I had shorts coming into today, left over from pre-earnings. This one I think can continue on. I don't want to have a whole lot more on here. I think it could get to like twos, maybe even a little bit lower, but they don't have a lot of time on them. I just trimmed a little bit more today. We'll see. I think it could continue. But I might have to do like some profit rolls on this bad boy. Yeah, it's probably going to continue again. I probably could have held completely. Oh, well. We shall see. I think 201s. They do not like that quarter. It's going to be like when Amazon and Google are the same price, we could probably take off the Amazon shorts. When Google's more expensive than Amazon, that's usually when Google's a buy. All right. Let me get a time check. So it's 11 Pacific. Lunch is almost over, so I can't do a whole lot more. What did you have, Evan? You had a couple that you wanted to go through.
I will narrow myself down and give you one. Can you choose between two names I give you?
You could do
LYFT or RKT?
LYFT or RKT. Well, both report earnings.
No, actually, okay, do RKT then. RKT reported earnings last week.
Oh,
Rocket Lab reported this week.
Rocket Mortgage, Rocket Companies. So I think the rate plays are probably good because we're closer to lowering rates than anything than we were before. This 16, so at 14 and change, that was probably a pretty decent spot beforehand. You take this area right here, draw it across. You had this big bounce and big push through, pull back, hold, come back up over. You can probably see it now. This is like a 3 or 4 day holdover. Yeah, this looks better here. So here was your prior resistance, push through, breach, acted as resistance again. We know this between 1550 and call it like 14, this dollar wide range here, that's your support / resistance. So as long as you're holding, this could be as high as 16. This is like, it's pretty wide. Call it 1620. It's a pretty wide area of support and resistance because you got these 3 little peaks over here. Yeah, call it 1620. It can dip into this area, but the lowest, as close to 15, if you see it around there, those are probably good dip buys. Under 15, if you see it again. But it might, like developing this area as support could take a little while. So these are good like to push through, but does this make sense? Because it's very, squeezy is not really, I guess it's squeezy, but developing support here like this on a stock like this could take a while. So some presses like this might be in order. And so little breaches underneath 16 as close to 15 as you can would be like what I would say par for the course on something like that. So I wouldn't get too excited on the press like that. But if you see it, I'd say the course. But if you see little dips underneath 16 as close to 15 or 14 even as you can over the next couple weeks, that's what I would stick with. Because we're going to be, let's say, September, October, we are very likely to get some rate cuts. And if you have that type of a time horizon on something like rocket companies, that's what I think you have to have. And in that space overall, I think that's the time horizon you would have to have at least on a company like this.
Thank you, sir.
Cool. Yeah, so LYFT, from a technical perspective, it's at the 200. Here's a weekly view. Right on it. They're going to report, this Wednesday. Up here, it was looking really good. It's possible that it squeezes still on the weekly. It's going to come down to earnings, bar none. That 1350, this is just a very giant, at this point, let's call it, the best case scenario. You could call it accumulation, and a heavy base down here. That's the best that I can give it. But if you want to buy LYFT, anything, Leap, equity, short-term, lotto, this is as good of a spot that you're going to get here and now. And my gut is that the options are probably cheap as well. So like I would bless a lotto on LYFT, to be honest.
Hell yeah. And they got a headline today.
Like it is what it is. Like these are, and I mean like they're not going to be that expensive, but yeah, this is from a long-term perspective, this is like accumulation, heavy accumulation. It's not breaking down. It's not in an uptrend. So it could just go sideways or it could pop off. And if it does go down, the risk of it is like $11 and your lotto goes to zero. If you buy equity, you're like 30% maybe, but you're probably not going to do a full-blown breakdown, like get cut in half. I don't see that either. So yeah, I'm okay here. Like the worst I see is like $12, which is not even like horrible. I did see someone from AFRM. Oh yeah, I think you guys were just talking about shares in general. So AFRM, yeah. So this is the same in the rates play. So I think because we were closer to rates coming down than anything, I think that's probably your best bet in general. AFRM here, this goes in in our like surgical strike campaign. This pivot, which has been firing for quite a while. This is still live. This, believe it or not, this is crazy. This has been sitting here over this trigger for 38 days. I mean, this is doing the deal. Finally, very hard to chase. It's got some more room, but yeah, this is going. This is the day. Did AFRM get any news today?
I will check for you right now. I saw something with
That's
it.
That's a god candle, dude.
Needham initiated with neutral. Klarna considers IPO revival. I don't see much.
Yeah, so this is at least technical, but upside here is 79. It's a hard one to chase. These Upstart and AFRM take turns. Oh, okay, yeah. So tomorrow, probably why AFRM's running is because Upstart has earnings, so AFRM might front run them. Very hard one to chase. I couldn't chase that here, but it's done this in the past a couple times. So TBD. Maybe you inverse it. I don't know. Yeah. So I got a couple more requests. I'm scrolling up. So if you've put in your questions now, you're a little bit late. Target. So I think one thing to note here. So for the earnings run-ups, I think it's important that you look at the earnings beforehand. And I think like a pre-qualification is that the last report needed to be at least positive. So if the last report was bad, they're not getting so Target is not a good report. It's not getting any love. It did get a little bit of love, but here you're coming back down. The only thing you might have as a saving grace is later on, mid-month, you might get this was holding it, and then I ended up exiting stage left when this failed. This area, 106s, cut bait run, not going to do it. And mostly because I looked at this, I looked across the board. It's like, look, Target did not have a good quarter last quarter. I don't think this is in the running for some kind of earnings run up here, just based on this. Maybe very later on. Even this, the street did not like that price action. The price action did not support whatever that was. We'll have to see. And at the very earliest, it would be next week that Target got any kind of movement, which would probably be around like 95s. So this might not. We'll have to see. There's this really weird chart that I was watching forever, Evan. I'm scared to click enter on this. I'm going to hold my breath for a second. Jesus. So this stupid thing, I didn't trade it, but like, oh my God. I saw these things running. It's probably gone. 75s, 115. That's probably Target acquired. 80s, 110s, not fine. What else? I don't think I could do anything on those. Yeah, well, NFP will always be accurate. It'll never not be accurate. These Dollar Tree stores, I swear, dude, look at this is gonna go again. Dollar. I don't know what's going on with these, but these are like the craziest reversals off the list. Oh damn! I scrolled up and I'm starting to come down to find our tickers, but yeah, NFP revised 800,000. That's insane. All right, Raymond, TTD.
Earnings Thursday.
Yeah, straight into the 200-day. This is a tough one. It's got a huge gap in the 110s. It just has to get over the 200. It's really tough. It's got to get well over the 200 because otherwise it'll be choppy. I'd say 93s, but it's going to be too hard with earnings. GOS, I don't know what that is. So no. No, I do not. Tempest AI for sure.
I like the Ethereum in the chat as well. SoFi.
CRM. Yeah, so CRM maybe why. So these guys, I don't know. I think I have to sign off CRM right now. It broke my levels. This is probably not getting any love right now. Just not doing it, man. They just don't like it. I think their market is just like, oh, it's fully valued. I don't think the market just doesn't like CRM. No loves for CRM. Maybe it's a short, man. There are shorts out there, by the way. There are definitely shorts out there. This does not look like a long right now. So no. And Apple, right on the 50. Dude, I like Apple. When's the product release?
Mid-September. Month away.
Are there seagulls in the background?
Yeah, that was seagulls. We live near the water.
I heard seagulls. I'm like, dude. Yeah. Are you in Puerto Rico? Are you in Puerto Rico
to drop
today?
clams in the street so they crack it? No, I am not in Puerto Rico. I'm in New York.
So here's Apple. So here's the last consolidation. So if this was Bitcoin, remember that Bitcoin chart I was looking at? It's like, okay, so you find that resistance. If we were inversing the Bitcoin chart, I was just looking at that as that resistance block where it was all clustered discombobulator here. It's like, oh, you're going to get right into that area of consolidation, that point of control, which would be essentially right there. This is 201.14. It's going to be the same story. Very close to it. See where this dark shaded area is? Well, you probably don't. It was just there. Anyways, it was just there. Right where this area. That's right where we came off of on Friday. So, I mean, to me, that's the support area for Apple. It's not really breaking that. It was constructive this morning. It's not yet. It hasn't gotten through it on the upside either. I needed to have it. Not a showing. This is essentially the box. It's stuck in this box right here, Hopefully it doesn't stay in this area for too long. And that's like literally this morning's wick. So here's that fair value from here to here. Just gonna hone this in just a little bit. Yep.
Paper. I got a call in a second here. And for once, I can only kind of half listen after this. I just wanted to make sure I said this one more time. I said like the stream earlier, but what I want to tell you guys this time is if you enjoyed the stream of Paper and you're not subscribed, subscribe, but go in and click that bell button next to it. We'll give you notifications whenever Paper goes live. It's not like he's going live every single second, so it's not going to be spamming you. If you enjoyed this last hour and a half and you want to see it more all the time, hit that bell button on the channel.
Appreciate you.
And give the stream a like too, but
yeah.
Paper games.
Appreciate you, Evan. Yeah, so we'll see. It's at the 50-day. It's going to be choppy. It could be choppy up to like 209. It's been sideways for a minute, so until it really breaks out of this range, I would expect some more of the same. It needs some serious. It needs some serious headlines for sure. It needs some love. Duolingo's got earnings. Ooh, this has come down quite a bit. Whoa, that's way low. I don't know. Technically, it's at support. This one's a higher flyer, though. Technically at support. Can it break it? You totally can. Just that's all earnings. Oh, Arista. Arista is right up there. It's nearly, so my trade was complete near term. From a technical perspective, near-term technical trade, boom, 129, complete. From here, though, if it does extend, the only way it extends, it'd be 150s. If this whole, oops, I take it back. 170s, net, like for the whole thing, on this small piece, 130s. 130s if this pullback extends post earnings. We shall see. But this has been a great trade for me. Actually, very profitable trade from these areas, from 90s. I'm not doing Berkshire or Jovie. All right. I think we're good, guys. Yeah, open is the meme of the day for sure. All right. I am going to call it there. Appreciate everybody. It's been real. I'm going to take a quick break and then I'll hop in the server in a little bit. But yeah, I think we're good to go. Break time, everybody. Lunch is over. Yeah, and the market is about ready to do its thing again. Cool. I'll see you out there. Adios. Peace.